RDR Intro Take 1.
And now here on Rough Diamond Radio, we have a new series, The Thoughts of Chairman Greg.
That's very good. Now the bad language bit, if you don't mind.
Listeners are advised this program contains bad language.
To say nothing of a bad script, bad recording, bad editing, and a bloody bad idea, still. It's a damn miracle he stayed sober long enough to record it. Okay, just do the lead out and we'll fuck off to the pub.
Okay, John. And now we present The Thoughts of Chairman Greg.
Ah, sod it, that'll do. Roll music.
Hello there. Today's topic is money. Now money, some people say, is the root of all evil. Well, that may be true for some people, but I've always found it to be my ex-mother-in-law. A bit harsh on me, you might think, but let me tell you, she was the sort of woman when she walked down the street, even the birds stopped singing. But to be fair, she's been a lot less of a problem since she's been dead. God rest the silly bitch. Still, I digress. Money. Money, when you come to think about it, is a great idea. You can earn, steal, borrow or forge funny bits of paper and metal and exchange it for anything you want or need. I mean, before money as we know it was around, things could get complicated using the barter system. Take this example. Say you were a hard-working gong scourer and you had a really crap day. There's a joke there if you look hard enough. And you fancied a session on the beer after work. So you clean yourself up, bag up the thing you have to barter, and it's off to town you go to find a drink. After searching round for a while, you find a man who had some spare grog and will barter a hogshead of beer for a leg of lamb. Shit, all you got is a chicken. You try and stress to the man the virtues of the chicken over the lamb, but he won't budge. He's adamant he needs lamb. Besides, as he pointed out, he promised his wife some lamb, and given she's already not been very approachable in the bedroom department, bringing home a chicken and not the promised leg of lamb is not going to increase his chances of getting his leg over now, is it? So now what are you going to do? You'll have to find someone who has a leg of lamb and will swap it for a chicken. Not an easy task. So you spend another hour asking around and eventually find someone who has a leg of lamb to barter, but no beer. He's not interested in the deal because he's already got a chicken, but he says he really wants some ribbon, preferably red. So if you could find some red ribbon, he'd love to swap it for a leg of lamb. As he explains, the girl he wants to get into the haystack might look favourably on his advancing if he had some red ribbon, as he's already tried her with a chicken. So off you go to continue your quest, inquiring at numerous shops and houses, and even asking random strangers on the street if they know anyone who would be likely to have some red ribbon to trade, but with no success. Then you hear from an old hag selling 2-week-old pies on the street corner that the strange man who lives in the third hovel on the right down Plague Pit Row is always wearing ribbons, and he might have some he would barter. After a while you eventually find Plague Pit Row, and luckily find him at home.
Oh, hello.
And he indeed has some red ribbon he's willing to barter. Great news! And he even likes chicken, even better. But there the good news ends, because he wants 2 chickens for the red ribbon. Gutted. But on seeing your disappointment, the man mellows. After all, he does fancy a bit of chicken for supper tonight, and has always had a soft spot for strapping young lads as yourself. So he makes you an offer. So there you are. Your problem is solved. All you have to do is pop inside this hovel, allow the strange man to perform a small but significant sex act upon your person, swap the chicken for the ribbon for the leg of lamb, and the leg of lamb for the beer. Sorted. But if you're anything like me, there's only so far you go for a fucking pint. But all may not be lost. It may be worth a try going back to the beer seller, whispering in his ear that if he gives you that hogshead of beer, you will give him the address where he can get what his wife refuses to do for him. Adding to sweeten the deal, he might even come away with a ribbon or 2 that might put his wife in a more accommodating frame of mind at bedtime. It's a long shot, I know, but you never know what happens in life. You could get the beer, chance to chat up the beer seller's wife while he suddenly has to pop out on business, and you'd still have the chicken. For those of you who missed that example points out that it was not just things that could be bartered or swapped. Sexual favours and indeed information have their value too. But when all said and done, it would have been much easier, you must agree, to do your work as a gong scourer, then at the end of the day go to the king, get a handful of coins and go buy the beer and even another fucking chicken if you like. And the weirdo in the third oval on the right can keep his bloody ribbons. But who the hell am I to criticise people and the way they want to live their lives? So if you want the address of the fellow with the ribbons, they're yours for a couple of pints and a chicken. So, I think we can all agree that as a concept, money is a good idea. A person exchanges what they have, wheat, bacon, sexual flavours, etc., for tokens, i.e. money, that they then can use to obtain what they need, red ribbon, a roof repair, chickens, or whatever. Sorted. But who sets the level of tokens for an item, I hear you ask? Well, that's simple. It's a case of supply and demand. I'll give you an example. It's market day in a medieval town in England, and the farmers are assembling to sell the wheat they've harvested this year. In a ramshackle house on Market Square, Big Gladys opens her door to the first of the lusty farmers, waiting to avail themselves of this lady's particular expertise.
Hey, big boy.
Big Gladys soon informs the young farmer that a fee of 1 groat was required, in advance, to avail himself of the delights she has to offer. The farmer readily agrees and hands over the groat. After all, he's just sold 8 bushels of wheat for 4 groats, and if he tells his wife he sold them for 3 groats, he can afford the services of Big Gladys, and his wife will never know what he's been up to. Well, until Hitchins start. So at the start of the day, the services of Big Gladys is worth 2 bushels of wheat. The day progresses, and as the shadows start to lengthen, Big Gladys walked bow-legged and weary to the door yet again to admit the 18th farmer of the day. Opening the door, she informs him, parrot-like, the cost of his service at that time of the day was 2 groats. Taken aback at the cost, he tried to haggle, saying in mitigation he'd been late to the market because a wheel had fallen off his cart. And when he arrived late, most of the wheat suppliers had bought what they needed that day, and he had to sell his 14 bushels of wheat for only 6 groats. But Big Gladys wouldn't budge. She was tired, her thighs and other parts of her anatomy were chafed and sore. She just wanted a cuppa and put her feet up in front of the fire. She told the man to hurry up and make up his mind, because she was a busy lady. He paid up. Big Gladys closed the door behind her last customer of the day, leading him off to receive what he paid 2 groats for. So at the end of the day, the services of Big Gladys was worth 4.6 bushels of wheat. Supply and demand in action. Got it? So far we've learned that money as a concept can benefit society as a whole, and supply and demand can help set prices. It therefore should follow that the remuneration a person receives from their work should be directly linked to their worth to society, but this is simply not the case. I mean, have we ever heard of a road sweeper or nurse earning more than a High Court judge? At the time of writing this article, the relative annual salaries are a road sweeper £13,000, a nurse £18,000, and a judge £173,000. It must be said that a well-ordered society requires all 3 of these occupations. Justice and medical services are fundamental to any society, and if we don't want to walk our streets bollock deep in McDonald's wrappers and empty beer cans, we need people to clean up after the losers who leave such a mess behind. But is a High Court judge worth 10 times more to society than a nurse? I have heard it said, to justify the money they get paid, that judges have to have a high salary to make them less susceptible to bribery and corruption. Well, all I got to say on that front is if you have to pay a judge a lot of money so he doesn't take bribes, I think you got the wrong man for the job, fuckwit. But if you still think money we earn is linked to our worth to society, take a look at this. The average salary of the CEO of one of the top 15 banks in America is £12,800,000. That's nearly 13 million a year. I can see the need for road sweepers, nurses and judges. They all play a part in society, as I'm sure good efficient bankers do. But 13 million? For fuck's sake, that's 1,000 road sweepers, 722 nurses, or even, God forbid, 75 High Court judges. And if you still think a banker's worth to society is 722 times that of a nurse, all I've got to say to you is, what colour's the sky on your planet? Putting all that aside for a moment, let's talk about the physical money, holding your hand money, the money needed to make the monetary system work as we know it today. The best way I've found to describe physical money is as a vehicle for wealth. Sounds a bit pompous, so I'll explain. Say you live in a house next door to your wife's family. The word idiot springs to mind, still. And after 2 years of the Dragon Queen, aka the mother-in-law, bursting in without knocking, at all times of the day and night, issuing a carrion crow of, "Cooey, only me," you decide to move. So now, of course, you could take your house down, brick by brick, load it onto a series of carts, trudge the miles to the next town, and reassemble the house there. But that would be a total bollock, wouldn't it? A better way, surely, is to get someone to give you an agreed amount of coins, and you give them the house. The number of coins, of course, will be set by the supply and demand system. Then all you have to do is take a leisurely stroll through the sunshine to the next village, stopping a while at the Black Bow Ale House to refresh yourself if you like. Then simply find a suitable dwelling that the current occupier will accept the coins you have for his home and move in. Sorted. But there's one flaw to this system I need to point out. Imagine you stroll into the next village after swapping your house for the agreed amount of coins, then a big rough fellow jumps out of the bushes and tells you to hand over the coins in your purse, or he's going to play a jolly tune on your head with the hammer he's holding. So there you are. You have no bloody coins, no bloody home, and you have to move back in with the Dragon Queen or freeze to death that night. What a bummer. So enable you to have a vehicle for your wealth to move from village to village, and indeed for robbers to make a living, the coins themselves have to be the wealth. That's why the early coins were made of precious metals, such as gold and silver. So you get the idea. A small silver coin could buy you a pint of beer or a chicken, where a big gold coin could buy you lots of beer and lots of chickens. And people with lots of big gold coins could buy lots and lots and lots of beer and lots of chickens. But they also miraculously become attractive to the opposite sex. Yeah, you heard me right. They become instantly attractive to the opposite sex. Or the same sex if they floats they boat. Oh, come on, we've all seen it. A large silver convertible BMW with a fat balding man picking his nose driving, and next to him a long-legged blonde, half his age, with fingernails so long they have their own postcode, and a smug look on her face as she looks at you peddling your push-bike. Anyway, that's enough of that. As I said, the first coins are made of precious metals such as gold. But why has gold become so important? I mean, the whole world's economy revolves around the price of gold. Governments have to keep gold bullion reserves to stay solvent. Throughout the ages, during times of crisis and war, people have bought gold and hoarded it. It has been held in great esteem in societies as varied and as distant as the Vikings, the Incas, the Romans, the Mayans, etc. And because of that, it's now considered something worth fighting and dying for. I mean, I know my wife would kill and die for the last chocolate blob in the cupboard, but she's got a problem. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised to find out that one caveman years ago beat his mate to death with a rock because the other had a nugget of gold he wanted. Now, I know that gold has many uses due to its electrical properties and malleability, etc. And its use in mobile phones and printed circuit boards is well documented. I get it. But why has it been so important for millennia? I can't see an Inca warrior as he smashes his adversary's skull in with his battle club thinking, "Oh, that gold headdress he's got is lovely. All I gotta do is kill him and hide it for several thousand years, but I can sell the stuff it's made of to a multinational company for a fortune. Or equally, I can't see a heavily bearded and fur-clad Viking pulling on his oar as his longship glides up the estuary in the north of England, thinking, when we get there, I'll do a great dollop of raping and pillaging. But first I'll grab any gold they have. It will come in dead handy when we start up Nokia and need to make SIM cards. Having said that, the only reason I can see that has straddled the time for gold's importance is jewellery. I mean, even that sounds a bit of a ball ache. You have to dig the stuff out of the ground, process it, and pay a shitload of beer and chickens to some herber to make it into a necklace or such that makes your partner look slightly better than they did to start with. I mean, stockings and suspenders must have been easier and cheaper, and invented for the very reason. That's the thing. Why has gold become so sodding important? You can't eat it, you can't drink it, it's no good to use as a shelter, so why? I'd be buggered with a prize-winning leak if I can work it out. But things have changed. Take the pound coin in the UK. You think it'd be worth £1 worth of gold, right? Wrong. The actual scrap value of a pound coin issued in the UK at the moment is 1/3 of a penny. That basically means if you went to a scrap dealer with £300 coins and asked for the scrap value, he'd give you £1. Then there's the notes. Take the £10 note issued in the UK. On it says, Bank of England, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £10. So the bit of paper's not worth £10. They offer to give you the £10 back. So now it's a promissory note. And it said, on demand, the sum of £10. £10 of what? Sexual favours? Chickens? Beer? No, gold. Okay, so in theory, we could all nip up to London with our £10 notes clutched in our grubby little mitts, straight up to the Bank of England, hand the note in and ask for our gold. What do you reckon our chances are of getting it? I'll tell you, bloody no chance. To be fair to the Bank of England, you used to be able to hand over a note and get your gold, but that stopped in 1931 when the system became of a fiduciary type. What's a fiduciary type, you ask? Well, one definition is, a fiduciary is a legal or ethical relationship of trust between two or more parties. We are talking about banks, aren't we? Ethical, trust, these are the people who have brought the crisis to the world economy and still think 13 million is a fair wage. Ethical? Trust? Yeah, whatever. In practical terms for us, the basics of this fiduciary system is that if the government decide to print £100 million of the banknotes to build a new hospital or bridge or something, the Bank of England have to have 100 million gold bullion in the vaults to cover the money. And this balance between gold reserves and money printed is closely monitored and highly regulated, which means you can sleep soundly in your bed tonight. I hope. Lastly on this subject, have you noticed the lack of physical money around today? Coins and notes I'm talking about. Most people are paid directly these days into their bank account. From there they set up direct debits for all things they need to pay, such as gas, electric, or Big Girls Monthly magazine subscriptions. Simply anything. Then they have a bit of plastic that when they're out and about and want anything, even a simple cup of coffee, they swipe the card and boom, sorted. Not even a smell of a coin or a note. I mean, I can sit back at my desk in front of my PC, clicking away on tesco.co.uk, and then next thing I know, ding dong, a nice chap turns up to your door with beer and chickens. Result. So now you can simply forget your notes and your coins. It's all numbers done on a screen. They've got state-of-the-art computers and cyber security coming out of their navels. So what could possibly go wrong? But if in the unlikely event that the computers do go down, apparently, so I'm told, in the Bank of England basement there's a really big room with lots and lots of little piles of gold in it. And when you buy your hemorrhoid ointment at the chemist, you swipe your card and it pops up on a little screen at the bank. Then a little Oompa Loompa is dispatched and moves a tiny bit of your gold onto the chemist's pile of gold, minus a little bit of your gold which he puts on the bank's larger pile for the trouble they'd incurred in your transaction. After all, they do have to cover that £13 million paycheck for their CEO every year, and I can't see him accepting 2 chickens and a visit to Big Gladys's as payment. So that's money for you, based on something you can't eat or drink, and only of intrinsic value to PCB manufacturers and jewellers alike. Not forgetting, of course, if the bank's computers fail one day, one sneeze from the Oompa Loompa on duty in the bank's basement, and you could lose next month's mortgage money. And this, coupled to the fact there's always some steaming Urbert willing to do a tap dance on your head to take any money you've got off you, you should sleep well tonight. But should you find you can't sleep, console yourself with one thing. Next time you buy a round of drinks in the pub, the notes or coins you pay with are basically worthless, so you're getting free beer.